Today's lectionary text is Luke 8, verses 26 to 39. You can find it in the Pew Bibles on page 841. Miracle stories act as the gospel in miniature. That is, they contain a plot through which the evangelists portray Jesus' power to rescue lives from misery. Today's text contains familiar elements of this plot. A, the diagnosis of the malady and a cry of misery. B, Jesus' healing response. And C, the restoration of the tormented one to wholeness and the amazement of crowds. What makes today's exorcism account unique is Jesus encountering a legion of demons possessing one person. You won't find that elsewhere, nor will you find the drowning of swine in any other biblical account of exorcism. I invite you to listen to this unique account as I read. Then they arrived at the country of the Gerasenes, which is opposite Galilee. As he stepped out on land, a man of the city who had demons met him. For a long time he'd worn no clothes, and he did not live in a house, but in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he fell down before him and shouted at the top of his voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." For Jesus had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For many times it had seized him. He was kept under guard and bound in chains and shackles. But he would break the bonds and be driven by the demon into the wilds. Jesus then asked him, "What is your name?" He said, "Legion." For many demons had entered him. They begged him not to order them to go back to the abyss. Now there was on the hillside a large herd of swine that was feeding, and the demons begged Jesus to let them enter these. So he gave them permission. Then the demons came out of the man and entered the swine, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. When the swineherds saw what had happened, they ran off and told it in the city and in the country. Then people came out to see what had happened, and when they came to Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. Those who had seen it told them how the one who had been possessed by demons had been healed. Then all the people of the surrounding country of the Gerasenes asked Jesus to leave them, for they were seized with great fear. So he got into the boat and returned. The man from whom the demons had gone begged that he might be with him. But Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return to your home and declare how much God has done for you." So he went away, proclaiming throughout the city how much Jesus had done for him. Luke 8, verses 26 to 39.
Thank you, Alan. May God grant us wisdom and understanding. If you happen to pass by our church sign earlier in the week, you might have read the sermon title, "Drawing Pigs." And when I saw that, I notified the office immediately that our sign person had misunderstood me, and I said, the title is actually "Drowning Pigs." And he quickly fixed it. You know, that's the one bizarre scene in today's text, drowning pigs. Pigs are a sign in Luke's account that remind us that Jesus is no longer in Jewish territory. He has crossed over to the other side of the lake into Gentile territory. Jews don't eat pigs, nor do they keep pigs in Jesus' day, although I have met several Jews in Manhattan Beach who love their bacon, honestly. It's funny when you run into them in a hamburger joint, too. Anyway, I digress. Drowning pigs are seen by some scholars as Luke's device to express what the inhabitants of that region would like to do with the Roman occupiers. They'd like to drive them back into the sea. And what could be more satisfying for a first century Jewish revolutionary than to dismiss an entire regiment of Roman soldiers off a cliff into the water to drown. Now, whether you prefer to read this story in a literal fashion or seek perhaps a deeper symbolic meaning, does not lessen in any way Luke's emphasis on the healing and liberating work of Jesus. This story's message is clear. The salvation which God had promised long ago has now appeared in Jesus, and it's spreading beyond the boundaries, beyond religious boundaries. The gospel's on the move. So Jesus steps out of the boat, figuratively and literally, opposite Galilee, and a Gerasene man runs to meet him. And this guy is unclean. This guy is scary looking in every way. I mean, we're told that he's driven by a legion of demonic forces. He's scarcely human anymore. He lives in the tombs among the dead. Can you imagine? He's naked, unpredictable, violent, and alone. He's also a Gentile, which demonstrates Jesus' belief that nobody, absolutely nobody, is beyond the reach of God's redeeming love. So while in the previous story, Jesus had the authority to command the wind and the waves, now the Son of the Most High, that's how the demons refer to Jesus, Son of the Most High, he now has power over demons, and Jesus liberates and heals the man, mind, body, and spirit, and then he sends him home, and he becomes the first missionary to the Gentiles. It's interesting, the people God chooses to use to advance God's kingdom on this earth, we're not perfect people, and that seems to be quite okay with God. So this bizarre account leaves us with questions like, well, why does Jesus even negotiate with demons, right? And why does Jesus allow demons to enter pigs? I mean, what did the pigs do, right? Innocent pigs. And why does he allow these pigs? I love bacon. I love pork. I love barbecue. Why does he allow the pigs to be destroyed? Is such violence necessary? According to ancient Middle Eastern demonology, did you know there was such a thing? Right? Evil spirits cannot survive in water. Who knew? Right? So when Jesus gives the demons permission to enter the swineherd and they fall off the cliff into the water, they plunge into their own destruction. The demons are gone, and sorry for the piggies too. They drowned as well. And yet those pigs belong to people. They belong to swineherders. And granted, from a Jewish perspective, they don't mean anything, right? We can't eat them, don't want to touch them. Pigs are unclean, pigs are insignificant. What does it matter? But to the owner of those pigs, it mattered, I guarantee you. It was the loss was catastrophic. And the swineherders, understandably, are upset. We would be too if our livelihood was destroyed right before our very eyes. They were upset and they were afraid. And I think we would be too. They want Jesus to leave, despite the fact that he's had this miraculous healing of the Gerasene man. Everybody knew it was like scary crazy. We had to bind him up with chains. They saw the miracle before their own eyes. And yet, like, get away. Go, please, leave. What are we to make of this bizarre story? Are we to understand that the coming of the gospel is going to bring upheaval and set into motion forces that might disrupt economic and social arrangements? If so, the good news will not seem good to everyone, especially those who are well off. Did I get everybody's attention on that one? Luke doesn't tell us how the Gerasene fell into such a pitiful state. I guess it doesn't matter. But the Gerasene is not unlike unhoused people today. People, human beings who end up seeking shelter under bridge abutments and alleys. Many of them are mentally ill. Many of them are unable to maintain a job, although some do and still are unhoused. Many of them are alienated from family and home, although I've visited some in Texas who get visits from their family in his tent community under the bridge. Yeah. The unhoused are often seen as unclean, unwelcome in most communities, and yet every city has Gerasenes. Every city has unhoused people, and every Gerasene faces demonic legions that care nothing whatsoever for them. Is this bizarre story calling us to join Jesus in going to the Gerasenes of our day? Are we to step out of the boat onto the opposite side? And if so, what would it mean for us to take the healing and liberating love of God to broken and desolate places right here in LA? How might bringing healing and liberation to those lives set them free, those who are bound by demonic forces outside of their control? Now, I know when I say demonic forces, that, brings a little worry. What's the preacher talking about? Demonic forces. I mean, you see all these Hollywood movies all the time with all this demonic stuff. I'm not claiming demons actually exist, nor am I claiming they don't. I, for one, will never watch movies that glorify demonic powers because I believe evil exists. Just turn on the news and you see plenty of it. Why intentionally feed fear and give power away to something like that? Bottom line, it's not necessary for me to stand up here and attempt to explain in contemporary terms the demonic condition in this ancient story. Some will conclude, and I'm sure perhaps many of you, that what this is really about, Pastor Mike, is that the guy had a psychiatric condition and Jesus somehow had incredible therapeutic skills and was able to heal this man's mental issues. Okay, perhaps, but it's not essential that we understand that for sure. What we do know for sure is the depth of this man's distress. I mean, he's in a world of hurt. He's in great torment. He's so worn out that he wears no clothes, and he lives among the tombs. He's an outcast in his community, and he's so feared that he's often bound by shackles, by chains, and he's kept under guard even. Can we even grasp what a life like that would be? We don't need to explain it psychologically. Isn't it enough for us to understand that this guy's life is out of control? Absolutely out of control. I mean, the negative influences on his life are numerous. They are legion. Some of us can relate to feeling less control over our lives than we'd like. Can I hear an amen? I mean, vocational concerns, geopolitical crises, financial pressures, broken relationships, day-to-day details of life that vie for our attention and drain us of our time and our resources and our energy. Some of us can relate to feeling less control over our lives than we'd prefer. This Gerasene, though, seems to have no will left of his own. He's powerless completely, utterly over his situation. He's dependent on a power beyond himself for healing and transformation, and that's what he finds in Jesus. Real transformation, real liberation, real purpose even, and meaning for his life. I mean, go tell others what you've experienced, Jesus says, after he's healed. So the other Gerasenes witness this miracle, and they see the evidence of God's power. And this is a gift for most communities when you see healing. That's a beautiful thing, right? The demons have plagued this man for so long, and the community has had to kind of put up with it. Is it your night to guard the guy? No, not mine. Who is it? I mean, what a hassle. And so for so long, this Gerasene has been sort of a stigma in the community, and the community is now, should be celebrating this man who was so tormented is now set free. And so the one whom the demons call the Son of the Most High gives him a new lease on life. Absolute new lease on life. And how does the Gentile community respond to this miraculous transformation? They say, excuse me, sir, Son of the Most High, what's your name? Jesus? Would you leave, please? Would you leave, please? Now, as strange as that sounds, we get it on one level, don't we? I mean, we sometimes prefer the troubles that we know to changes that we don't know or understand. Apparently, the Gerasenes are concerned about the drowned pigs and what other costs this Jesus might bring in the act of rescuing others from misery. Rescuing others from ministry comes at a price. Are we willing to pay it? Could you leave, please? Stop talking about that. This is but one example of the signs of the kingdom that Jesus points to. The signs, right? Where the blind receive their sight, and the lame walk, and the lepers are cleansed, and the poor hear the good news. What are we to make of this story? I mean, this once miserable human being is healed. This once naked and possessed human being is now clothed, and he's in his right mind. He's in his right mind. Is this the work of the church today? To help others experience wholeness in Christ? To help others experience the boundless love and welcome of God? It's not lost on me that the salvation of some creates hostility in others. In the book of Acts, there's that story, right, of the exorcism of a slave girl. And here she's healed, and her owners are not happy. In fact, they're very upset because she's no longer a source for income for them. Caring for the poor, caring for the unhoused of the world costs something precious to those with financial resources. Not all leaders, privileged though they may be, are particularly keen on spending their money on the poor and the destitute. So what is it worth to us? What is it worth to see one who was once homeless now in a home? I'm pleased to announce that our unhoused friend Ulysses, who spent quite a few months off and on helping out with the Wednesday crew, he sat way in the back because, well, quite frankly, he knew he smelled. He didn't have access to the shower that we all had this morning. I led him into a practice room. He has a gift for music, and I let him use my personal keyboard, and he spent hours practicing. Thank you, Nancy, for tolerating that. He now has a place to call his own. His belongings that were in a sketchy area where he was afraid to go by himself have been retrieved, and he's very grateful. And I doubt seriously that this would be his reality today if it were not for a wonderful woman in our community named Rita Crabtree Campy, who helped Ulysses with tough love and sage advice, among other things. Also, Dennis Taylor had a role to play as well. He kindly drove Ulysses to the courthouse Took several hours because he had to drive all the way up there. It was up north, and then he had to wait while the proceedings went, and then he had to bring him back. But it worked. I met Rita through Leadership Manhattan Beach, and she's the co-founder of MB Safe, Manhattan Beach Safe, which, by the way, purchased for Ulysses a new refrigerator and a stove, among other things. The one who was once homeless now has a home, but the home is so far away we won't be seeing him here, because the way he got here from where he was sleeping outside was with a scooter. And it's just too far to commute now on a scooter. I mean, the little scooter, the kids, you know what I mean? Not a moped. I've asked Matt Zaro, a Timothy of this church with a huge heart for the unhoused, maybe in some ways one of the closest thing to Jesus walking around here these days. Yeah, come on up, Matt. No pressure whatsoever. I've asked him to share an opportunity that we have to join Jesus in his boundless ministry to those on the other side. Matt, would you share your idea for how MBCC might help the unhoused here in LA? Can we give Matt a warm welcome back?
Thank you, church. Thank you. I've been playing some phone tag, and not only did that conversation go much better than I thought I did, I was invited to preach on the 13th, so mark your calendars to either come or go to the zoo if that's, your choice. But what came out, what I called Pastor Mike was me and Jackson Greer have been talking about a ministry that I've been cooking up in my brain for a little bit. Pastor Mike shared with us the healing power of water and its ability to drive out demonic forces. I deeply believe in demonic forces that are still at play in our world. And one of the ones we experience when we're out on the streets, one of the first things I learned was that even the basic needs of having thirst, having your need to have water are as a challenge out on the streets. And in LA, we have just passed into summer here, and we get pretty bad heat waves during the summer. It's not unusual for temperatures to get over 90 degrees on certain days. And on these days, we find as people who do mutual aid, it's easy for us to get bottles of water, pallets of water. People are generous with that. What's very challenging for us, though, is getting that water cold and getting it frozen. So the ideal way to hand out water on a hot summer day is for it to be cold. This is going to encourage people to drink, and it's going to prevent their chances of heat stroke. The problem is, most of us have a standard refrigerator with a tiny little freezer on top that at best can fit a dozen water bottles. And a hot day, if there's 10 of us, you can go through 120 water bottles like that. So what we're looking for is a place where we can freeze whole pallets, if hundreds and hundreds of waters of bottles. So on the days when we need them, on these heat wave days, we can get them out to the community and get them where they're going to be saving people's lives. And there's something else. Handing someone a cold bottle of water, this was the first thing I ever brought out with me when I did outreach, was a ice chest full of ice cold water. It's literally an icebreaker. It's a beginning of a conversation that can lead to a change in your life and a change in the person you hand it to life. It's an expression of agape. And that's what we have the possibility to do here if we partner together, is to bring agape in the form of ice water to the people on the streets of Los Angeles. So I invite all of you to consider, and hopefully we'll be partnering in freezing some water with love. Thank you.